Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Janavala Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotra Shatashi Srimad Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj srimadbhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the Summit devotees, all glories to the Summit devotees, all glories to the Summit devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hey Jajani, do you think you could please bring that table? Yeah, I need the cloak. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All right. So this morning we were reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, entitled Creation of the Fourth Order. Chapter 12, Dhruva Maharaj goes back to Godhead. Text 51. I'm glad you made it just on time. Okay. Jnanam Gyata Tatvaya Yodadyat Satpate Mritam Kripalor Dinanatasya Devastasyanu Jnanam Gyata Tatvaya Yodadyat Satpate Mritam Kripalor Dinanatasya Devastasyanu Gridnate Jnanam Gyata Tatvaya Yodadyat Satpate Mritam Kripalor Dinanatasya Devastasyanu Gridnate
Jnanam Gyata Tatvaya Yodadyat Satpate Mritam Kripalo Dinanatasya Devastasyanu Gridnate Jnanam Gyata Tatvaya Yodadyat Satpate Sapatedritam Kripalo Dinanatasya Devastasya Nivrishnate. What you reckon I can say? Okay, not a problem. Jnanamadhyata tatvaya Yodayat Sapatedritam Kripalo Dinanatasya Devastasya Nivrishnate. Jnanamadhyata tatvaya Yodayat Sapatedritam Kripalo Dinanatasya Devastasya Nivrishnate. Jnanamadhyata tatvaya Yodayat Sapatedritam Kripalo Dinanatasya Devastasya Nivrishnate. Jnanamadhyata tatvaya Yodayat Sapatedritam Kripalo Dinanatasya Devastasya Nivrishnate.
Okay, word by word translation. Jnanam, knowledge. Agata tatvaya, to those who are unaware of the truth. Yaha, one who. Dadyat, in parts. Satpate, on the path of truth. Amritam, immortality. Kripaloho, kind. Dinanatasya, protector of the poor. Devaha, the demigods. Tasya, to him. Anugrinate, give blessings. Translation. The narration of Dhruva Maharaj is sublime knowledge for the attainment of immortality. Persons unaware of the absolute truth can be led to the path of truth. Those who out of transcendental kindness take on the responsibility of becoming master protectors of the poor living entities automatically gain the interest and blessings of the demigods. Purport. Jnanam agyata means knowledge which is unknown almost throughout the entire world. No one knows actually what is the absolute truth. Materialists are very proud of their advancement in education, in philosophical speculation, and in scientific knowledge. But no one actually knows what the absolute truth is. The great sage Maitreya therefore recommends that to enlighten people about the absolute truth, tattva, devotees should preach the teachings of srimadbhagavatam throughout the entire world. Srila Vyasadeva especially compiled this great literature of scientific knowledge because people are completely unaware of the absolute truth. In the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam first canto, it is said that Vyasadeva, the learned sage, compiled this great Bhagavat Purana just to stop the ignorance of the mass of people. Because people do not know the absolute truth, this Srimad Bhagavatam was specifically compiled by Vyasadeva under the instruction of Narada. Generally, even though people are interested in understanding the truth, they take to speculation and reach at most the conception of impersonal Brahman. But very few men actually know the personality of Godhead. Recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam is specifically meant to enlighten people about the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although there is no fundamental difference between impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and the Supreme Person, factual mortality cannot be obtained unless and until one attains the stage of associating with the Supreme Person. Devotional service which leads to the association of the Supreme Lord is actual immortality. Pure devotees, out of compassion for the fallen souls, are kripalu, very kind to people in general. They distribute this Bhagavat knowledge all over the world. A kind-hearted devotee is called Dinanata, protector of the poor, ignorant mass of people. Lord Krishna is also known as Dinanata or Dinabandhu, the master or actual friend of the poor living entities. And his pure devotee also takes the same position of Dinanata. The Dinanata, or devotees of Lord Krishna, who preach the path of devotional service, become the favorites of the demigods. Generally, people are interested in worshiping the demigods, especially Lord Shiva, in order to obtain material benefits. But a pure devotee who engages in preaching the principles of devotional service, as prescribed in the srimadbhagavatam, does not need to separately worship the demigods. The demigods are automatically pleased with him and offer all the blessings within their capacity. As by watering the root of a tree, the leaves and branches are automatically watered, so by executing pure devotional service to the Lord, the branches, twigs, and leaves of the Lord, known as the demigods, are automatically pleased with the devotee, and they offer all benedictions. Om Gyanapadandasya Gunanjana Shalakaya Chakshulanmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Makam Kadidvachalam Pangam Langate Girim Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurundir Taradam Pancha Kaplaribhishcha Kripa Sundavevacha Patitanam Pavadebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namanamaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Harshivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'm going to read the translation again. The narration of Dhruva Maharaj is sublime knowledge for the attainment of immortality. Persons unaware of the absolute truth can be led to the path of truth. Those who, out of transcendental kindness, take on the responsibility of becoming master protectors of the poor living entities automatically gain the interest and blessings of the demigods. So there's a quite small or saying or verse within the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and I believe it's attributed to Sri Damodar Goswami, but he says Bhagavata Giri Pore Bhagavata Stane, and that means that one has to learn the Srimad Bhagavatam from a devotee. They have to learn the Srimad Bhagavatam from a devotee. Of course, the other day, Mukunda Charana, I think it was actually just yesterday. Yeah, it was just yesterday. He was saying, he was explaining how to hear from impersonalists or people who don't have faith in Krishna as a person, whether it's to hear the philosophy or kirtan, it can have, and many times does have, ill effects on the hearer. And the shloka was quoted from Sanatana Goswami that, how does that start again? One about lips touched, or nectar touch, or milk touched by the lips of a Vaishnava Mako Giram Putra, yeah. Putram Harikatamritam. So, saying that milk is very nutritious and very nourishing. Now, of course, vegans will say otherwise, but anyways, this is what the verse is saying, so we just have to go with it. If we have any ideas aside from this, anyways, this is what the verse is saying. It's nutritious, it's helpful milk. But the same milk touched by the lips of a serpent has poisonous effects. So, and it looks exactly the same. I mean, you can't really tell. Oh, it looks like milk. So there's some poison in it, but you can't tell. It looks exactly the same. Apparently there was some, I don't know, I think it's a famous story, but I'm forgetting who. But there was two guys, and one of the guys, there were two friends, and another third party, they said, oh, you know, this guy, he put poison in your drink, so, you know, be careful. And it was a serious thing. It wasn't joking around. It was like a dead serious thing. You know, dead serious. So, so the man who's about to drink, he said, "No, I don't care what you're saying. This is my friend. He wouldn't do such a thing." Anyways, so to have such good friendship's important. You trust the person. Of course, usually, So, but the point is whether there was poison or not, he couldn't tell. The guy couldn't tell. So similarly, whether there's poison in the milk, you can't really tell. So in this particular verse, it says that one who's a non-devotee, who's not a devotee, and there's many categories of non-devotees, they may talk about Krishna, they may speak from the Bhagavatam, or they also may chant Hare Krishna. There's many singers, right? But if they're not devotees, then it has poisonous effects on the hearers. Means the messages won't be conveyed properly, and also the power of the holy name is not invested within their chanting. So the point of this particular verse is not to scare everybody, but the point of the particular verse is just to let everybody know that if we want the full effect, if we want the full effect of, you could say, the full healing effect of the holy name and the full healing effect of the message, then we have to hear it from a devotee. So maybe I should get off the seat, huh? So we have to hear it from a devotee who's in the disciplic succession, who's in the line of gurus and gurus and students, disciples, going back to Krishna. So yes, the knowledge is purifying, and it will lead to immortality, and it is the substance of the knowledge is pure truth, tattva. But still, again, one has to hear it from proper sources. So that's what's being mentioned in the verse. And it says, those out of transcendental kindness take on responsibility, becoming master protectors of the poor living entities. So, saying that devotees, they take on the responsibility of becoming protectors of the living entities. And what does that exactly mean? It means, of course, when we talk about care of devotees, it really covers everything. Covers every aspect, even the material aspect. But more importantly, the spiritual aspect, that devotees are there to give us shelter, to give people shelter. And you could say shelter from the storm of Kali Yuga. It's quite a raging storm. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of chaos in the world, a lot of is that unkindness? Is that? Yeah, unkindness, chaos, so many things happen in the world. So we all need shelter from that, the storm of Kali Yuga. And the devotees provide that. They provide association that is so nice, so pleasant, that we won't even feel the raging of Kali Yuga. We won't even feel it. There's a verse about that too, from Srila Rupa Goswami's, one of our great acharyas, his book called Padyavali. It's a whole collection of writings that he collected from different authors. And aho beer nakaler vaduyate. What is that, Javada Prabhu? Aho beer vaduyate. So can you give us a translation too, the poetic, your translation? Yes, please do. Or
Because at every step they bring the flood of oneness hand will taste and hands can't be feet. They feel as if the raging blaze of Kali days had never begun. How blessed that they would fill their days with praise of Shri Vishnu Sun.
Yeah. So what that verse is saying is that those who engage in hearing and chanting about Krishna, those who engage in Krishna consciousness, are blessed, and they're not feeling the heat or the fire or the you could say the storm of Kali Yuga. It's like they feel that it hasn't even begun. Kali Yuga hasn't begun. And of course, it did begin. What, 5,000 years ago? Yeah, 5,000 years ago, Kali Yuga, the degradation of humanity began with all the anxiety and all that. So it has begun, but those who engage in the process of Krishna consciousness, sincerely praising, glorifying, meditating on Mother Yashoda's son, Krishna, they feel it hasn't begun. They don't feel it, the Kali Yuga. So, and we feel that sometimes. Sometimes we're in a kirtan, we're chanting, we're dancing. We don't feel we don't feel any pain and agony and all these things. We're above it. Or sometimes we're associated with devotees or whatever we're doing, we're engaging, and we don't really feel it. But then when we stop doing that, we feel it. We feel the pressure of Kali Yuga. So the point is that the ability to engage in Krishna consciousness and actually make tangible progress comes through the association of devotees, and we're able to feel the shelter in their association. Within the Bhagavatam, it says that going back to Godhead, it's just like we're all on a boat. We're on a boat going back to Godhead. And there's a captain of the ship, right, Prabhupada, and then there's a bunch of passengers, which is all of us. It's a big boat. So the idea is we want to stay on the boat, going back to Godhead. The favorable winds are the scriptures, and what else is it? The captain of the ship, the guru. Favorable winds are the Vedas, instructions of the Vedas. So the idea is we want to stay on the boat. We don't want to jump off. We don't want to jump off the boat. Shivaram Swami, His Holiness Shivaram Swami, he has a project there in Hungary. Actually, Bajranarayan Swami's there right now. It's very beautiful. If you see pictures of the temple, and very artistic and very beautiful temple. And apparently they do all types of interesting things, means creative, with the festivals that go on there, because there's a lot of artists there, the decorations. And so what they did one time, I heard, is that by Srila Prabhupada, by Prabhupada's Murti, they made a boat. And Prabhupada was the captain of the boat. And Prabhupada was probably wearing his, that hat he wears. And he's the captain of the boat. And then, no, they built a boat around Prabhupada. They built a boat around Prabhupada. So then, what they did with the deities is that there was a rope going, part of the boat, there was, and in the boat there was recognizable devotees of ISKCON, in the boat and, like that. And then there was a rope that was going from Srila Prabhupada all the way up to Radharani, Srimati Radharani. And apparently they made it look in such a way as she was holding the rope. So the idea was that what they were portraying was that Radharani was the one pulling the boat back to Godhead, and Srila Prabhupada was the captain of that. So that's the idea, though, that there's a boat and to remain on the boat. So the protectors of the living entities. Vyasadeva, Srila Prabhupada is explaining here that Vyasadeva, he compiled the Srimadbhagavatam for us to become free ignorance and to become enlightened. So that's very, very important. And in the Bhagavatam, it was explained earlier in the earlier cantos that his guru Narada Muni, so there's Srila Vyasadeva, part of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and there's Narada Muni. So Narada Muni, his guru, at one point Vyasadeva was feeling dissatisfied. He compiled so many books, so much of the Vedic literature, this, that, so many things, so many books, and he again was feeling dissatisfied. So his guru came, and he chastised him. He corrected him. He's saying, "You're feeling dissatisfied because you've written so many books, but you haven't dedicated a book to the pure glorification of Krishna. You've done a lot of bridge preaching." As he said, you've done a lot of bridge. You haven't really fully glorified the Supreme Person. Therefore, you're dissatisfied. So we could look at that in our lives too, that sometimes we may feel dissatisfied. And the reason being, if that is there, is because we need to get more into fully glorifying Krishna, or becoming more Krishna conscious. So anyways, Narada Muni, Srila Vyasadeva, he accepted that chastisement, that correction, and therefore for our good fortune, he compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam, which we're reading now. And yeah, it's for the enlightenment of the living entities, for them to attain immortality. And it is meant to bring one closer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the whole point of the Bhagavatam. So it says at the Bhagavatam, right, there's the first canto, we're on the fourth canto now, so we're making our way up. We're actually making some progress, fourth canto. It's pretty good. Yeah, fifth canto, and then I think when I joined, I don't really remember, it was in 2008 or something. I think we were in the 10th canto, and then we went to the 11th and 12th, I believe, 2008. But anyways, we're on the fourth canto, so 5th, 6th, 7th, and the 10th. So all these cantos, the first canto is considered to be Krishna's lotus feet. And then going all the way, the 10th canto is Krishna's face. And that's where all Krishna's pastimes are, or not all of them, because you can't fit them all there, but you could say the essence of Krishna's pastimes are there in the Bhagavatam, 10th canto. So the Bhagavatam is gradually training us, gradually qualifying us, so we could see Krishna face to face in the form of the 10th canto. So that's the idea for us to become closer and closer to Krishna. And this takes place by many, you could say, by many different means. Mukunda Charna was saying yesterday there's 9 processes of devotional service. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Mapanam. No, I'm just joking. Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atman, Navedanam. So Shravanam, hearing, Kirtanam, chanting, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, remembering, Pada Sevanam, serving the lotus feet, Archanam, worshipping the deity, Vandanam, offering prayers, Sakyam, becoming a friend, and Atman Nivedanam, surrendering to Krishna fully. So we went over the different, or he didn't go fully over the different personalities who epitomize these, but so I thought we could do that, because so Shravanam, hearing, Maj Prikit, right? So he was hearing, and this is, right, he's hearing the Bhagavatam. So he became perfect by that, hearing about Krishna. And then Shravanam, yes. Yes. Yeah, for 7 days, because he was on the verge of, he was cursed. It was a long story, but he was cursed. He was on the verge of death. He went to the Ganges, and for 7 days and 7 nights, right? He was just hearing the Bhagavatam. Just hearing the Bhagavatam. So he became perfect, and then Shukadeva Goswami, Shravanam, Kirtanam, chanting the Bhagavatam. Smarnam was Prahlad Maharaj. What's the next one? Padasevanam. Padasevanam was Prithu. Oh, Lakshmi, yeah, Lakshmi there. How can we got to remember that one? If you look at all the pictures of, not all the pictures, but a lot of pictures of Lakshmi, she's the goddess of fortune, and Vishnu's lying there, and she's massaging his feet. So she's serving Krishna's lotus feet. Padasevanam, Archanam, that's Prithu Maharaj. Archanam means deity worship. Vandanam, prayers, is who are the prayers? Akrura, yeah, how can we forget Akrura? Akrura, so many beautiful prayers in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. There's quite a lot of them there. There's that prayer, I know Dravida Prabhu used to say sometimes, maybe you could say it now, about seeing everything backwards, and that's a good one.
Yeah, so he's praying in that.
Do you want to grab the mic, Jamal, please?
This is the 40th chapter of the 10th count.
Yeah, Akrura is Krishna's, you could say, uncle. That's how they referred to him. Krishna. He went to pick up Krishna and Balarama from Vrindavan.
So it's very dramatic. He picks up Krishna and Balarama. That itself was very traumatic, especially for the gopis. There's a whole scene there. But finally, he's taking Krishna and Balarama to Mathura out of Vrindavan, and he gets to the Yamuna River. When they get to the Yamuna River, Krishna and Balarama go into the river and take a bath, bathe, and then come back out and sit on the cart, in the chariot. And Akrura goes in, and he sees Krishna and Balarama in the water. He says, "What? I just saw them come back in the chariot." He comes back out in the chariot. He's surprised. He sees them on the chariot. He says, "Have you seen something wonderful?" You know, he says, "Yeah. When I see you, what else more wonderful can I see?" They go back in, and he sees Sankrishan and sitting there on Anantashesh, and so he starts offering prayers. And so these are the prayers that he offers. I'm not going to give them all, but the one that especially stuck out to me. He was taking the role of a conditioned soul. You know, even though he's a great devotee, they do that a lot. So he says, "Anityanatma dukkeshu viparya materyaham dvandvadamas tamo vishto najane tvatmanak priyam." That I am taking that which is temporary to be eternal. Anityan anatma, that which is not me, my body, to be myself. Anatma dukkeshu, that which is source of miseries to be sources of happiness. In like one line, he's like, summarizing material mentality. Dukkeshu viparya material. Everything is backwards. Viparya means reverse. And in this backwards situation, dvandvadamas tamo dvishto, I'm trying to enjoy the dualities of this world, sense gratification, and entering further and further into darkness. And the greatest tamo vishnu, and the greatest tragedy is najane tvatmanak priyam. I've forgotten completely, O Lord, that you are my dearmost friend and master, like that. And then just one more. It says, Yatabodho jalam hitva parichanam tadundavai abhyati magadishtam vai tata tvatmak priyam, something like that. He said, just like a foolish animal standing in a desert, and the animal's in the oasis in the desert, and the animal's thirsty, okay? Or say a foolish man is thirsty. And he's looking out into the desert, and there's a nice mirage, a nice pool of water. He doesn't realize that at his feet there is a nice the water, that he doesn't have to go out into the desert. Forgot about it. It's covered over by the grass, and it doesn't see it, and runs out, and the animal dies, whatever, Similarly, I've forgotten completely that you're in my heart, and so I'm running out into the sense gratification in the desert of material world. So he goes on like that. They're really nice prayers.
Yeah, nice prayers. So yeah, he's saying, "Oh, I'm seeing everything backwards, right? I'm actually the soul, but I'm thinking I'm the body, and I'm thinking that happiness lies within material life." but it's actually a source of misery. And yeah, very graphic, right? There, you're seeing the mirage out there in the desert, and you run out, but the water's just right there, just covered. So Krishna's in the heart. So yeah, Vandanam. And yeah, Krishna is in the heart. It says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Apohanam cha, what is it? Sarvasya cha ham hridi sanda Vishnu matasmitir ganam apohanam cha. So Krishna is in the heart of all of us, giving us remembrance, forgetfulness. So if we want to remember Krishna, He'll give us the ability to do that. That's why we're all here at the temple. We remembered to come to the temple this morning. We didn't remember to, whatever, go somewhere else. Go to the local coffee house. Or whatever. So He'll give us the remembrance to remember. He'll give us the ability to remember Him. So it's up to us. So Krura Vandanam, and then Dasyam. Dasyam is Hanuman. Yeah. Hanuman, the great devotee Hanuman, servant of Lord Ramchandra. Sakyam Atmanavedanam. Atmanavedanam is Bali Maharaj. Anyways, these are all quote, friend is Arjun. So anyways, so the idea is that we can engage in these different processes of devotional service. Hearing about Krishna, chanting about Krishna, becoming Krishna's friend, surrendering everything to Krishna, offering prayers. So these are the 9 Vandanam, offering prayers. So these are the 9 processes of devotional service, and this is what devotees do. They engage in the 9 processes of devotional service. And that is actually how they become, you could say, transcendental to the ill effects of Kali Yuga. That's how they become transcendental to it. That's how they don't feel the raging fire of Kali Yuga. By engaging in the 9 processes of devotional service. And therefore, this is you could say, the glory of Srila Prabhupada, the glory of pure devotees, is that they engage us in these 9 processes of devotional service. They link us up to Krishna. And therefore, they are considered dinanatas, which means friend of the fallen or lord of the fallen. Means they're the masters of the fallen. Means they're full of compassion for living entities within this world. And they give the means by speaking the srimadbhagavatam all over the world, the means how to become elevated above all of the negativity of this world. So therefore, very, very merciful. And we also want to become merciful. We want to be liberal distributors of the knowledge of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We just don't want to, keep it all for ourselves. Whatever we hear in class or whatever books we read, we just, make sure we keep it in the temple, right? We don't want anybody else to, or keep it in our houses, But we should be liberal distributors of the knowledge of the Srimad. Carry books with us, tell people about Krishna. I don't know, there's so many ways of doing that. So, all right, so does anyone have any questions? We have one more verse tomorrow. Javita Prabhu will read the last verse of the chapter.
To point out this word that's nicely used here, dinanata.
Yeah.
And Prabhupada has this nice, which I think is unique in the books, master protectors. Master protector.
Yeah.
So it reminded me of the line in the prayers to the 6 Goswamis. I was checked about Turna Mashesha Mandalapati Shin Siddhatuchvat. Budva Dina Ganeshako. So Dina Gana Ishako. Dina is the same word Dina. Dina is an interesting word. It's, poor is kind of a poor definition of it. It's not a complete synonym. Dina means someone who's like not only poor, but thinks oneself wretched and neglected by the Lord. There's something called dainya, which comes from the word dina. Dainya is the quality of being dina. And it's kind of the mood that Srimati Radharani has, believe it or not, when Krishna goes to Mathura. Aidina dayar dranatahe. Oh, you whose heart is melting with compassion for the dinas, and I'm one of them. I'm wretched, neglected, separated from you. What use is my life? That's the mood of dina. So everyone is dina in the material world, but they don't know it. You know, everyone is puffed up, but actually they're truly wretched without Krishna consciousness. So the idea is that we need a nata, we need a master. Krishna is the ultimate master, but he also empowers others that we can actually relate to as spiritual masters. And they protect us. They don't exploit us. They protect us with the instructions and with chastisement and setting rules and regulations and limits and actually giving us the means of advancing in devotional service. So that's what this Dina Ganeshakal, the six Goswamis, especially those, Rupa, Sanatan, Raghunath Das, Gopal Bhatta, those who wrote books, who took disciples, they gave up this verse says, the fourth verse of the 8 of the Goswami Ashtaka, that three of them especially gave up extreme wealth. They renounced it all. Raghunath Das was like a billionaire would be today. And Rupa and Sanatan were the right and left hand of the king. They had all, boatload of gold is what Rupa, when he cashed out.
Literally, right?
Huh?
Literally.
And so they gave it all up, down to the last farthing. They had nothing material, in order to become the protectors of the fallen by becoming, carriers of Lord Chaitanya's mission, word and mission. And everything that we read is actually coming from them, even though Bhagavatam, of course, is ancient literature. But the commentary, Srila Prabhupada depended on, the previous commentators, which are following, sometimes directly the six Goswamis are following them. So this word, master protector, because I always, I'm a word guy, and I'm looking at this I never remember reading that anywhere, but it's a perfect description. Master, but also protector. That's the Dinanath.
They have the word
name for Krishna and for
servant leader.
Servant leader.
It's a different thing, but
yeah.
Servant leader, not just a leader, but your servant leader. So.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Balaram. Krishna. Well, you mentioned the 9 processes of devotional service. And so you said about Shravanam. I was wondering if you could maybe elaborate on Shravanam. What is it? You talked about hearing the Bhagavatam, but what is most essential for us to hear? Because there's Bhagavatam, there's Bhagavad Gita, there's so many things. So what is most essential for us to hear? And secondly, how do we most effectively hear?
All right. Well, we could hear Bhagavatam in the morning. And then we could hear Bhagavad Gita in the evening. And we could also hear Krishna book in the evening. So I guess it really depends on how we mold our life. But that's what Prabhupada said. He said we should mold our life in such a way that we have time to hear and chant about Krishna. So there's some program of hearing and chanting. So yeah, there has to be, you could say, like a balanced diet of hearing. So we hear certain books. And also we do that in consultation with our spiritual teachers. I'm thinking about reading this book about Krishna's pastimes. What do you think? And they say, yeah, that's a good book. You should, kind of get the blessings, right? And in terms of most effectively hearing, what we do outside of the time we're hearing and chanting affects our hearing and chanting. So in other words, like our lifestyle, how we live. So yeah, it's advised that in our eating habits, in our sleeping habits, of course these are material things, you could say, but our eating habits, our sleeping habits, etc., they're different, that they're balanced and according to Krishna's instructions, which are there in the Bhagavad Gita and so on. And then when it comes time to hear and chant, we'll be more peaceful. If somebody I don't know, somebody eats a bunch of junk food, every day of their life, and that's what they eat 3 times a day, and then they sit down to hear and chant about Krishna, it might be very difficult, Or if they sleep for 20 hours, and then with the remaining 4 hours they go to the local Jack in a Box and get some tacos for $1, which are vegetarian, by the way. It's not real meat, and then they, whatever, on and on and on and on like that. And if they do that on a regular basis, it might be very difficult for them to hear and chant because the mind becomes affected by all that. So in other words, we have to become peaceful. So it means certain eating habits, sleeping habits, etc. We become peaceful, and then when we hear and chant about Krishna, then it'll be easier to do that. And even higher than that, you could say, well, not that you could say, higher than that, in combination with that, is that to associate with devotees, in the srimadbhagavatam there's a verse, Shu Shu Sho Shradada Nasya Vasudeva Kata Ruchi Syad Mahat Sevya Vipra Punya Tirtana Shevana. So the Bhagavatam says, by serving those great souls who are free from vice, completely free from vice, one attains a taste or an attraction or the ability to relish messages of Krishna, or messages of Krishna, means the holy name and so on. They're able to concentrate, they're able to have attraction to that. So for those of people who say there's no pure devotees, which is not true, but okay, even them, okay, fine, serve Srila Prabhupada. He has a mission, you should serve his mission if you want a taste for Krishna consciousness. And of course, for those who are a little bit more broad-minded, accepting that there's other pure devotees and advanced devotees, there's so many other devotees too. And by serving them, we could also get attraction, of course, Prabhupada too. So that's there.
Everything you said is true, but I just thought that, what should we hear? What should we hear? The first thing you have to hear is the holy name. That's the actual root of your attraction to Krishna. And if you're hearing the holy name nicely, then you'll be attracted to hear, books and attend class and mold your life in such a way that you're exposing yourself to Krishna Katha. And by doing that, you get more taste. That's the Shushu. How are we going to hear, serve the first service that we can do for the spiritual master is to hear from him. And Srila Prabhupada has given us all of these vibrations. So it's getting late. I just wanted to give some coming attractions of the 4th canto. And there's one verse in the... So we've done Dhruva. We had Daksha and Shiva and Sati burning. And that was the whole first 7 chapters. Then we've had Dhruva since chapter 8. And now we're finishing up in 12. There's a little description of his descendants. And then we're going to have the story of Vena. Vena was like an ideal Asuric king. He was just like, from childhood, he would play with his playmates and push him in the water and drown him. He was incorrigible. Anyways, the whole story. But his son became Prithu. The interesting way in which his son was born. And Prithu is a great king. And so there's a whole bunch of chapters here. And the highlight for me was when the 4 Kumaras come down. They don't just come anywhere. They only come, when it's a great opportunity to preach. So then he gets instructions from them, and one of his instructions at the beginning, one of Sandakumar's instructions, is one should mold his life in such a way that you cannot live in peace without drinking the nectar of Krishna Katha. So it's back to the same theme here. And then finally, there's the rest of the canto begins with chanting the song sung by Shiva, and it has to do with the Prachetas, who are the sons of King Pachanabhari. And there's a long allegory. You don't find many allegories in Bhagavatam, but there is one called Paranjana. Paranjana is every man. Paranjana means the person living in the body, the Puri, or the city of the body. And so it's for everybody, of course. And that takes us to the end of the canto. So there's 2 more main stories coming up, and it's going to be quite an adventure in the coming months. 4th canto, and then my God, the 5th canto. I'll be honest with you, some devotees couldn't take the 5th canto because it's all about the universe, and there's a lot of things that describing the universe that don't quite mesh with what we learned in 3rd grade, and so it was difficult.
Third grade attachments, huh?
The whole Vedic planetarium is not the temple of the Vedic planetarium. Prabhupada wanted, the Vedic planetarium built on the basis of the 5th canto, the challenge of the scientific.
All right, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.